Hello, Phil here. Because of the coronavirus issue and the cancellation or suspension of all adult learning classes, what I have decided to do is let those of you that want to carry on studying for your driving theory test to study at home with a laptop or a computer if you can get hold of one, and study at your own pace in your own time, and continue to revise the words that you need and practice the questions that you need for the theory test. We have 4 sessions left. We needed to finish off session 6, which is what I'm going to do today. So in each of these videos, what I hope to do is go through the workbook with you so that you can complete the workbook at home in your own time, and each video will include instructions of how to do this and will show the answers as well. This way you can study and do the work, check your answers, or just complete the workbook as we go along, and this will all help for you to get hold of the information, and hopefully when you come to revise for the theory test, a lot of this information will be known to you, or at least you have a better chance of doing well in the driving theory test. So you all have the workbook, and I've sent an email today which attaches the full workbook. I am showing the workbook now on the screen, and as you know, we got up to session 6. So if you want to get session 6 beside you, in front of you, as you are watching this video, please do so. And what I will do is I will go through the remaining parts or sections of session 6 with you on the screen, and you can complete this at home. So just a reminder that the important words were these words, and in the lesson, the last face-to-face lesson that we had, we did directions and we did motorway signs just here. We got as far as here, and then I set this for homework, and that's what I'm going to do first, is I'm going to go through stopping distances with you. So you should have done this at home, and as I said at the end of the last lesson, all you need to do was a little bit of adding up, a little bit of maths, and work out what the stopping distance is for different speeds when you are driving a car. So for 20 miles an hour, the thinking distance is 6 meters, the braking distance is 6 meters, so the stopping distance will be 6 plus 6, 12 meters. And when you write the correct answer, or when I write the correct answer on here, it will turn blue. So 9 plus 14, thinking distance at 30 miles an hour, 9 meters, braking distance at 30 miles an hour, 14 meters, gives us 9 plus 14, 23, and so on. So at 40 miles an hour, 36, at 50 miles an hour, 53, at 60 miles an hour, 73, at 70 miles an hour, 96, and there's a 2-gap rule, 2-second rule. So when we talk about the 2-second rule, the distance that 2 seconds is depends on how fast you are going and how fast the car in front of you, or the vehicle in front, is going. So when driving, always allow at least a 2-second gaps between you and the vehicle in front, and allow at least a 4-second gap when the roads are wet, and even more on icy roads, as we have seen in this class. So I'm not going to fill in this table now in the video, but you can do that in your own time. It's just a piece of revision. Can you complete this table without looking at the answers on the previous page? Try it, and then check your answers with the previous page. And what you should be doing is adding in the thinking distance, the braking distance, and the stopping distance. So that's 20 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, thinking distance, that's how long it takes for you to think about stopping, the braking distance, how long it takes to stop, and the overall stopping distance is the two together. Okay, and you can complete the table like that. Now the next section in session 6 is on pages 76 to 78. That's 76 to page 78, and there's 20 questions on vulnerable road users. Vulnerable was one of our keywords from an earlier session, so we remember that vulnerable means, can you remember? Anyone that is elderly or has a disability, a physical disability that we can see that might be crossing the road. But vulnerable road users is also people who are drivers, okay, and who may be vulnerable too on the road. So not just elderly people or people with physical disabilities, but other people such as those who are maybe driving a motorcycle or a bicycle. They are also vulnerable because they are at risk and are in more danger compared with, say, cars when they're on the road. So the 20 questions here, I would have done this in class where I would have done a cut and paste task where I gave you all of the answers, but you had to work in pairs to match up the correct answers with the 20 questions. But we can't do that because we haven't got a class. So you are probably on your own watching this video. So I'm going to bring up the PowerPoint associated with this. And this PowerPoint, if you have Microsoft PowerPoint or Office on your computer, then you should be able to click on the attached link that I sent you or download the PowerPoint slides, which is what you can see the first slide of now, and you can do this in your own time. So my suggestion is that you work through it by yourself. If you have this book, remember the AA Theory Test for Car Drivers book that some of you have got, if you turn to chapter 6 here, so session 6 is actually chapter 6 in the book, page 122, all of the questions and all of the answers for this part of the workbook are in here. So my suggestion, if you want to study properly, is to look at the questions on the PowerPoint and then find the question in this book and then the answer from there. If you can't do that, if you haven't got this book or if you don't have PowerPoint, just watch the video, have pages 76 to 78 open in your workbook and just fill in the answers, because that's all we can do. Okay, so I'm going to go through the questions and the answers one by one so that you can check your answers if you've done the work. So my suggestion, if you're going to do the work, stop this video, do the work, come back and then check your answers with me. Or if you can't do that, just watch the video and fill in your workbook the answers for each question. Okay, let's go. Question 1. Which two should you allow extra room when overtaking? And the answer: motorcycles and bicycles. Question 2. You are turning left into a side road. What hazards should you be especially aware of? Okay, and the answer: pedestrians. Question 3. You intend to turn right into a side road. Just before turning, you should check for motorcyclists who might be overtaking on your right. How will a school crossing patrol signal you to stop? By displaying a stop sign. You see two elderly pedestrians about to cross the road. You should be careful. They may misjudge your speed. Question 6. You should never attempt to overtake a cyclist just before you turn left. Question 7. You are coming up to a roundabout. A cyclist is signalling to turn right. What should you do? Any idea? Did you look in the book? What would you think? Give the cyclist plenty of room. Question 8. When you are overtaking a cyclist, you should leave as much room as you would give to a car. What is the main reason for this? Any idea? Well, the answer? The cyclist might swerve. Swerve is sudden change of direction. Why should you look particularly for motorcyclists and cyclists at junctions? This is question 9. So we're on page 77, question 9. Why should you look particularly for motorcyclists and cyclists at junctions? Answer: they're harder to see. They are harder to see. Question 10. In daylight, an approaching motorcyclist is using a dipped headlight. Remember? Dipped headlight? Full, dipped when they're down. Why? Answer: so that the rider can be seen more easily. Question 11. Motorcyclists will often look around just over their right shoulder just before turning right, and this is because Answer: they need to check for traffic in their blind area, the area they can't see. Remember, blind spot, blind area, an area that you can't see properly. Question 12. At road junction, which of the following are most vulnerable? Now, there was a list. So in the book, if you find this question, there's a list. Which is the most vulnerable? Remember? Smaller things. Cyclists, I mentioned it already. Motorcyclists and pedestrians. Question 13. Motorcyclists are particularly vulnerable. Why? Or where? When approaching junctions. Question 14. When driving, ahead of you there is a vehicle with a flashing amber beacon. Now, this has come up before in a previous class. A flashing amber beacon. This means it is what kind of vehicle? What kind of person driving? It's a slow-moving vehicle. Question 15. An injured motorcyclist is lying unconscious in the road. You should... Now, we haven't come up with this question previously. Maybe there's been an accident. It sounds like it. The motorcyclist is on the road, unconscious, not properly awake, not conscious, not able to speak or respond to any questions you've got. So you should seek medical assistance. Question 16. You are approaching a roundabout. There are horses just ahead of you. You should... So we describe horses as vulnerable. What should you do when there's horses? Be prepared to stop and give them plenty of room. So two things there. Be prepared to stop and give them plenty of room. Question 17. 4 to go. Which 3 should you do when passing sheep on a road? So we've had horses. Now we've got another kind of animal. Sheep. You're not going to get this in Norwich much, by the way. But 3 things you should do. What do you think? Have an idea. Even if you haven't got the book, what would you think? Speed up? Slow down? Give them room? Allow plenty of room. Go very slowly, and again, like with the horses, be ready to stop if necessary. Question 18. At night you see a pedestrian wearing reflective clothing and carrying a bright red light. What does this mean? What does this mean? So a pedestrian at night, reflective clothing. Remember, reflective is one of our key words from session 6. Reflective. Remember? Carrying a bright red light, what does this mean? Okay, this is when you have an organised walk. Now, this is not going to happen much at the moment with a coronavirus and everyone keeping a safe distance, but what it means in the highway code and in the theory book and for the theory test is that this is an organised walk. So probably an adult with children or someone who is responsible, and they are taking people on a guided or arranged or organised walk. And part of that walk includes going along the roadside. So all you need to write in your book is the answer. You are approaching an organised walk. Question 19, 2 left. There are flashing amber lights under a school warning sign. Now we know schools are closed at the moment, but what action would you take? So when schools reopen and you are driving and there is a flashing amber lights under a school warning sign, remember this came up in signs previously? What should you do? Remember, you're more likely to find signs in the highway code, but of course we also do traffic signs, and there's traffic signs 5 attached to this email for you to do at home. So the answer: reduce speed until you are clear of the area. Reduce speed until you are clear of the area. Question 20. Last question. You see a pedestrian with a dog. The dog has a bright orange lead, like the colour that you can see on this question box. This especially warns you that the pedestrian is, so a pedestrian, somebody walking, with a dog, and the dog has a bright orange lead and collar. So this is, the lead is what you hold and control the dog with. The collar is the thing that goes around the dog's neck. This especially warns you that the pedestrian is, did you get it? Deaf. Not blind, deaf, can't hear. Well done, we've ended that slideshow. Hope you've got all the questions in your book. Now we'll move on to the last part of session 6. Okay, the final activity and task in session 6 is on pages 79 through to page 82, so 4 pages, 79 to 82. It's called Motorway Rules 1. There'll be another Motorway Rules later in the course. And what you need for this, to do this correctly, is the Motorway Rules interactive PowerPoint document. Now again, the same thing applies as before. If you have Microsoft PowerPoint on your computer or laptop, you can do this at home in your own time. If you haven't, then you can just follow this video and fill in the answers in your workbook, starting with page 79 and what you can see on the screen here. So there's 20 more questions. So what I'm going to do now is, this is the student workbook. I'm going to change the view to the PowerPoint. You might come up with a Microsoft Office security option, and it will ask you to either say help me protect from unknown content or enable content for the session. These, don't worry too much about what this is. These are called macros, and you need to enable macros for this session. So can you tick, if you get this window box, this dialog box come up, could you click enable content for this session? What that will do is allow the PowerPoint interactive features to work, and so that when you click the right answer, the correct answer will appear. This is what I do in class, but normally I do it, but you'll need to do it at home because I'm not there to do it for you. But I'm sure you can do that. So once you have opened up the PowerPoint, I'm going to make this full screen. It should look like this. If it's working, these cars will be moving side to side, and we know that this is good. Click on next, and with your workbook you want to go through each of the questions. Remember again that with PowerPoints on this course you can click on the question and click on the answers in order to hear them. So let's just try question 1.
As a provisional license holder, you should not drive a car
over 30 miles per hour at night on the motorway with passengers in rear seats.
And again, you will need this book, the AA Theory Test for Car Drivers book. And if you've got this book, then you will be able to find all the questions or variations on the questions in the workbook from section 9. So we're looking at section 9, which is motorway rules. So all of the questions are drawn from section 9. Some of them will be exactly the same, with exactly the same options like you see on the PowerPoint screen, or they might be a variation on this. For example, question 1 that you can see on the screen is a variation, slightly different version of question 435 on page 166. Okay, so what I suggest is, if you've got the book, do the work first, like you would do in class. You've got no one to discuss it, but think about what you would put as the answer. Don't just click on the box, but when you know, or when you think you've got the right answer, put a X in the box, and if it turns black, you know that is wrong. Try again, we know that is wrong, and when you get the right answer, it will turn blue. Okay, so if it's one answer, only one of them will turn blue. If there are more than one answer, for example, question 2.
Which four of these must not use motorways?
Okay, so again, we know that 2 of these are going to turn black when I put an X in the box, and 4 of them are going to turn blue. So in this case, what do you think? Learner car drivers? Yes. Motorcycles over 50cc, that's the engine size, 50cc? No. Double-decker buses? Farm tractors? Horse riders? So the ones that have turned blue are the ones that must not use motorways. So bigger motorcycles, higher than a moped, because a moped is a small 50cc vehicle. So bigger engine size motorcycles and double-decker buses, they can use the motorways, but these 4 that have turned blue, they can't. They're not allowed to use motorways. So do the rest of these. Do the other 18 questions in your workbook. Again, if you've got this book, then you can do it. If you've got the PowerPoint, then you can do it on the PowerPoint. If not, then in a few moments' time, this video will carry on with me giving you the answers so that you can complete your workbook in your own time at home. Are you ready? Okay, coming now. Okay, so
Why is it particularly important to carry out a check on your vehicle before making a long motorway journey?
You will have to do more harsh braking on motorways. Motorway service stations do not deal with breakdowns. The road surface will wear down the tyres faster. Continuous high speeds may increase the risk of your vehicle breaking down. Immediately after joining a motorway, you should normally
Try to overtake. Readjust your mirrors. Position your vehicle in the centre lane. Keep in the left lane. You are joining a motorway. Why is it important to make full use of the slip road?
because there is space available to turn round to allow you direct access to the overtaking lane, to build up a speed similar to traffic on the motorway, because you can continue on the hard shoulder. On a free-lane motorway, which lane should you normally use?
Left, right, centre, either the right or centre. A basic rule when on motorways is
use the lane that has least traffic. Keep to the left unless overtaking. Overtake on the side that is clearest. Try to keep above 50 miles per hour to prevent congestion. The left-hand lane of a motorway should be used for
breakdowns and emergencies only. Overtaking slower traffic in the other lanes. Slow vehicles only. Normal driving. On motorways, you should never overtake on the left unless
you can see well ahead that the hard shoulder is clear. The traffic in the right-hand lane is signalling right. You warn drivers behind by signalling left. There is a queue of slow-moving traffic to your right that is moving slower than you are. You are travelling on a motorway. You decide you need a rest. You should...
Okay, I'm going to take over for the last 10-11 questions. So, you're travelling on a motorway, you decide you need a rest, you should...
go to a service area. Leave at the next exit.
You break down on a motorway, you need a call for help. Why may it be better to use an emergency roadside telephone than a mobile phone?
It allows easy location by the emergency services.
It allows easy location by the emergency services. Question 12. Your vehicle breaks down on the hard shoulder. Now, we talked about hard shoulder in last week's lesson. The hard shoulder motorway is that road that's on the side. You shouldn't drive on it, but your vehicle has broken down, so that's the part of the motorway that you use. You decide to use your mobile phone to call for help. You should...
Check your location from the marker posts on the left.
So check your location from the marker posts on the left. There will be marker posts all along the hard shoulder. And these are all individual numbers, and they tell a breakdown service or the police exactly where you are. You get a puncture on the motorway. So this is question 13. Here's a picture of a puncture. A puncture comes on the motorway and you manage to get your vehicle onto that hard shoulder. You should... Which one of these?
Use the emergency telephone and call for assistance.
So use the emergency telephone on the side of the road and call for assistance. Okay, here's a sign. So again, it's all on the motorway. This is about motorway rules. The emergency telephones that I've just mentioned on the motorway are connected to what service? Which one of these? Remember, look in your books. If you've got your book, find the answer in the section 9 on motorway rules. Which do you think? Ambulance, police, fire, breakdown. So the answer?
Police control.
Question 15. How should you use an emergency telephone on a motorway? Answer?
Face the oncoming traffic.
You should face the oncoming traffic. Last few questions. Question 16. You are allowed to stop on a motorway when? 3 answers this time. Mark 3 answers. Okay, did you get them?
If red lights show above every lane, when told to by the police, in an emergency or a breakdown.
Question 17. You are allowed to stop on a motorway when you... Mark 1 answer. You are allowed to stop on a motorway when you... Remember, we had this word last week. Don't really see them anymore, especially not now with coronavirus. Answer? Here we
Are told to do so by flashing red lights.
Okay, last 3 questions. Mark 1 answer. You are driving on a motorway. By mistake, so in error, you go past the exit that you wanted to take. Should you? 1 answer. One answer.
Carry on to the next exit.
Last 2 questions. You have broken down on a motorway. To find the nearest emergency telephone, which we mentioned in an earlier question, you should always walk. In which direction should you walk? You should always walk how? With? Facing traffic? Towards the marker posts? Which is the right answer? Look in the book. That's the book. If you haven't got the book, have a look at the options on the screen. Answer? This one.
In the direction shown on the marker posts.
And finally, you are intending to leave the motorway here at the next exit. Here's the slip road coming off the motorway. Before you reach the exit, you should normally position your vehicle where?
In the middle lane. In the left-hand lane. On the hard shoulder. In any lane.
Answer? What do you think? Here's a clue.
In the left-hand lane.
And that's it. You've done it. Well done. Hopefully you have completed your workbook now. There is one more page for you to do, which is the diary. I'm not setting any homework at the moment, but please tune in next week for another video when we will start session 7. The only thing you can do actually for homework, while I think about it, is more work on traffic signs. So I have attached the traffic signs 5 document. It looks like this. Print it off at home or look at it at home on your screen and write down the answers. All the answers are there. You've just got to match the correct meaning for the sign. And good luck, and please let me know what you think of this video. If it's, you don't have to write a lot. If it's good, say yes, thank you, and tell me that you're still going to learn. So thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.